Good evening, designers, and welcome to episode 193 of Game of Rugs. It has been a hot minute, which was not planned. So, what we're going to do today is I'm going to put together a room, possibly today's daily, which I have not even had a chance to open up. And we're going to chat while I, put together a room. And my plan is to just catch you up on where I've been and let you know when I will be fully coming back. I also just want to say that I have feelings about these new limited edition items. I really love green and sage green, and so I immediately bought the boho botanical set. And I have to tell you, I have regrets. I love it. It does not pop. There are no rooms they've given us in which the boho botanical pops. And so we're just left with green. And my score has fucking plummeted. Like 3 days ago, I had a 4.89. A 4.89, and I was like, yes, it's going to happen. I am finally going to break that bloody barrier and hit 4.9, which I have never done. And spoiler alert, it didn't happen. And then the previous limited edition that had loved me as much as I had loved it, that the pink and green one, yeah, that went away. We got this. It all went wrong. And it's sort of indicative of my life. Anyway, so funny story. 2 years ago, I noticed something weird about my right foot at around this time of year, also in the middle of a very surprising for Ireland heat wave. And I went to see my GP, who is my favorite person, except, Moira and my husband, obviously. And I said, so in the future, when I'm diagnosed with MS and they want to know when my symptoms started, now. They started now, Susan. And she hit my knee with a hammer and looked in my eyeballs and made me walk around. And she was like, you're 49 years old. Maybe stop wearing flip-flops, bitch. Wear real shoes. I was like, ugh, fine. Whatever. And I did stop wearing flip-flops, outside my house. Obviously, I still wear flip-flops in my house. And then, we had the pandemic, and I didn't really go anywhere or do anything for a while. And when I did, I was, it was fine. Except I thought I was just I was really heavy and my mobility wasn't great. And, I packed on pounds during the pandemic and all this shit. And then 4 weeks ago, something like that. Yeah, maybe something like that. I had to go to an art opening on the other side of town with my friend Emer, and I called a taxi, and the taxi service was all backed up, and I was like, that's fine, we'll walk. Holy shit, the walk that should have taken me 20 minutes took about 45 for the sole reason that I could not keep a flip-flop on my right foot. It was like all of the motion below my knee that you don't think about just wasn't there. And so I couldn't keep, no, it wasn't a flip-flop, I couldn't keep a ballet slipper on my foot because the toe motion that holds the shoe on when you are flexing your foot was not there. I mean, I was clearly sending the signal from my brain to my foot, but nothing was happening in my foot. And I actually thought, fuck, I have torn my ACL, my anterior cruciate ligament, because I have had that injury on my left knee, and it's the same thing. Like, you send the signal down your leg, but then it stops. It gets to your knee and it doesn't go any further. Well, I went to my doctor and she's like, maybe? Don't think so. I was like, great, what do you think it is? She was like, gonna send you for an emergency MRI. I was like, well, that's exciting. So anyway, I went and got the emergency MRI 2 days later. Like, it was in a triaged definition of emergency. I was not in danger of dying. So I went and I got the MRI, and then I waited for it to come back. So that was on a Friday. I saw my doctor on a Wednesday. I had the MRI on a Friday evening, and we had to wait for a neurologist report. And I went back to get the report from the neurologist 4 days later on a Wednesday. And the neurologist was like, yeah, so you have lesions in your brain. And I was like, I'm sorry, I have what now? And they were like, yeah, no, you have lesions in your brain. And I was like, cool. Like, that sounds suboptimal. And they were like, it's not our first choice. So this room okay, we're dumping this. I can't even with this. So anyway, so they admitted me to hospital immediately. Like, I didn't get to go home and collect underpants or anything. They admitted me to hospital, and I had to call my friend Eileen to put together a bag in bizarre circumstances. But anyway, she went to put together a bag for me and was so, look how bad this looks. Like, this is why I should have bought the red. Should I just buy the red thing? Okay. And anyway, so she was so mortified by the state of my clothes that she went out and bought me new pajamas and new underpants. And we were like, what is this that happens? Like, you grew up your whole life laughing about the whole clean underpants thing, new underpants, tidy underpants. Like, what if you get hit by a bus? And then you grow up and you push another human out of your vagina, and suddenly the state of other people's underwear is of critical fucking importance to you. Like, she was mortified that I would be in the hospital with underpants that she did not consider nice enough to be in the hospital. So, fair. Okay, anyway, she brought me new clean pajamas. Not just clean pajamas, new pajamas. She went to a store and bought me new pajamas and new underpants. So God bless her. But anyway, and while I was there, I had a bunch of tests, including a lumbar puncture, which often is fine. It's a perfectly fine procedure for many, many people. I was not among those people. It was not fine for me. It was 67 minutes of essentially consenting over and over and over again to be tasered. It was really bad. So eventually we gave up on that and had a not particularly successful lumbar puncture. I would not recommend that for shits and giggles, just to be clear on the record here. And then they gave me, part of the reason I had to be in the hospital for so long was they give you meds for steroids, which can help with neurological problems. And I was on those for 3 days in the hospital. So whatever. And then I went home, and the whole thing was and now it's going to take, we've sent what we could get from your lumbar puncture out. and it's going to take, I'm sorry, 4 fucking weeks for the bands test, it's called the bands test, to come back to tell us if you have multiple sclerosis. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I stole my chart. And, well, I stole a copy of my chart. I obviously left the neurology department with my actual chart, and left the hospital when I was discharged. I didn't, go AWOL, and went back to see my GP. And I was like, hey, a lot of stuff happened in hospital that I don't really understand, so I stole a copy of my chart for you. And she was like, oh, good woman. And so we went through that, and she explained a bunch of stuff, and that was reassuring. So, even if I do have MS, the worst case scenario is that the drugs are, amazing now. And most people who start the drugs regain a lot of function, because I have definitely lost function. I'm quite tippy, especially when I'm pivoting, when I'm turning to my, I don't know, maybe my right, I guess. I do have a tendency, I don't fall over, but I do stagger, which obviously is incredibly sexy. And I also have lost strength in my right arm, my right hand, and that is my dominant arm. I'm right-handed, right-armed. And I was in a road traffic accident as a kid, so my left side is super fucked up. It's not great. I do not have good. I have actually quite poor fine motor control in my left hand. So the fact that we've gotten to a point now where my left side performs better than my right side is a bit alarming. And just interesting stuff, if I pick up a full glass, oh, this delicious gin and tonic in a fucking pint glass that I have here. Hold on a minute. If I hold the pint glass in my left hand, I just hold a pint glass full of water or whatever. If I hold that pint glass in my right hand, my dominant hand, it just slides out of my hand, slowly and not dramatically, but I don't have any grip strength. It's just it's all odd and interesting. It is an interesting process. What it also is a very slow process, because I have to wait for the results of my band's test. I'm still waiting for the results of my band's test. I am not going to have them until the first week in August. And, I was like, God, Susan, that's a long time. And she explained to me why it was going to be that long. And I was like, okay, fine. And then I was like, well, people survived the Holocaust. I will get through this. And she was like, yeah, but don't you think you'd get through it better with a shit ton of Xanax? And I was like, yes, I would. Give me the good shit. So she sent me home with a pile of Xanax, and basically, but there wasn't anything else to do except wait, and I am still waiting. So I will go and get those results, as I said, in the first week of August. And then what happened is that I came home and everything stopped. I've been fine, and things have been fine, but the lumbar puncture was genuinely traumatic, and I spent maybe a week, basically in bed with a bruise the size of a baby's head on my back, having an emergency appointment with my old therapist, just trying to offload that experience by talking about it over and over again. And as time has passed, it has definitely receded, and I'm not struggling with that anymore. I wouldn't recommend it, and I'm never doing one again without sedation. You don't have to knock me out, but I want to be sedated. And that was fine. And the other thing that has taken up a lot of time here is that even if it doesn't turn out to be multiple sclerosis, I do obviously have a neurological condition, and it is impacting my mobility, which impacts my, not really my quality of life, because I'm a lazy fucker. I wasn't doing shit to begin with. It's not like this has ruined my career as an Olympic athlete, but the impact that it's having on quality of life for me is my ability to navigate my home, because we have extremely, like, this is a very old house. It's what year is this? It's 200 and maybe 40 years old. Like, it's a really old house. The walls are really thick, and it's very small. The footprint of the house is very small, and that means our stairs are very, very windy. Like, they start out, they make a left-hand turn, you get halfway up, they make a right-hand turn, you go across that landing, they make a left-hand turn, they go up to the top of the stairs. They're very, very, very steep. And they are also, thank you to whoever did the last set of renovations in this house, not even. So I am struggling to get up and down these stairs, and we are going to have to replace the stairs in this house so that I can get up and down them. We are also going to have to put in another bathroom upstairs, another. Europeans would call it a toilet. They would be very specific. I'm not European. I'm horrified by the word toilet. Like, do we have to be that specific? Do we? Do we really? Is that fucking necessary? Anyway, so I have madly been pulling my house out of its post-pandemic funk so that we can get engineers and contractors and whatever in here to help, basically, to, start providing quotes and estimates and timelines and stuff for replacing the staircase. So that's been super time consumptive. Obviously, I'm not really in a position to be super cleaning my house, but a lovely lady whose name actually is Macarena has been coming to my house twice a week for 4 weeks, twice a week for 3 weeks, twice a week for 3 weeks. And we've cleaned the walls. I've cleaned the walls, cleaned the radiators, cleaned the baseboards. There's still stuff left to clean. We've cleaned all the floors. We've cleaned all the rooms. We've now cleaned all the cabinets. I still have to take all the stuff out of the bookcase and wipe all of that down. But I don't need a 23-year-old woman who can bend to do that. I can do that. But functionally, I am just in this holding pattern, and I am having difficulty making progress. I don't mean making progress, but moving through time. I feel like I can't move on with my life, or the things I'm supposed to do in my life, or the things I want to do in my life, until the stupid appointment in the first week of August. Oh, fuck you. This room was hard. Okay, as evidence of the fact that this room was hard, I would just like to show you. This room was hard, and the rooms that scored well are ugly. That room is ugly. This room is also ugly. Yeah. So anyway, that is why I have not been recording episodes of Game of Rugs, because I'm just sitting here somewhat frozen in time, mostly focused on controlling the things that I can control in a situation over which I have very little control. So what I can control, apparently, is the amount of dog slobber on my baseboards. That's it. That's what I've got. So that's where I have been focused. And, oh, see, Jesus does love me. I wonder what this was for. Let's find out. Oh, Well, okay. This was a very mediocre effort on my part. Wait, that's not true. Hold on. More gin and tonic. It was a very mediocre result on my part. There was a considerable amount of effort that went into this. The result was it's not great, but this was hard. This room was hard. And I don't know, this is terrific. Whoever ignored the pink prompts on the left-hand wall in the ceiling and was like, no, we're going bold, we're going green, good for you. When I ignore the color prompts, I get my ass handed to me. So I did not do that. I went with the assignment. And my result was like, my pink room is nowhere near as good as this pink room. Nowhere near. And this room is pretty shit anyway. My room's really shit, but they were all really shit. And people vote on what they're given. And so somehow this squeaked by with a 5. Well, maybe it's a good omen for the future. Who knows? I can't remember what I was saying. But basically, yeah, that's where I am. And honestly, I appreciate so much the fact that people have reached out to me to make sure I'm still alive. This is a very, very small channel with a very small 500 very dedicated subscribers. You are all appreciated. I appreciate the number of people who reached out to make sure I was alive, as much as I appreciate the people who didn't and just figured something was on, or I'm not the main character in their personal movie, which, as hard as that is for me to imagine, I can understand. But I wanted to let you guys know that that is what's going on. I didn't want to just ghost you, and so I appreciate the people who reminded me that there were people who were waiting to find out what the fuck was going on, and maybe for an episode of Game of Rugs, maybe. Oh, I love that chair. So I hope that you guys feel filled in now, and honestly, I am not going to be making any more episodes until after my neurology appointment in the first week of August. And after that, we will see. I am trying to reduce my stress and reduce my work schedule, which you would think would allow me more time to do frivolous things like make Game of Rugs. And I hope that eventually it does. But I am assuming that after the first week of August, I'll be starting new meds, which will hopefully give me more energy than I currently have, which is none. None. So, I did tell my doctor that, I realized I was not going to die of MS. If I did die of MS, my headstone was going to say, I fucking told you I was tired. Because, yeah, the fatigue, it is real. Very real. But that's where we are with all of that. So it's not the worst. Even the worst outcome isn't that bad. But I just don't really feel capable of doing stuff until I know. I just want to know. I just want to know what's wrong. And also, if somebody could do something to improve my walking, that also would be awesome. I would love that for me. They're doing this thing. Alright, I like orange. It's fine. I will buy all the orange lamps. Anyway, that is all the tea. Hot and spicy tea from the source. So, I hope that you've had a really good 4 weeks. I hope that the past 4 weeks of your life did not involve lumbar punctures, hospital food, or somebody else's mother having to buy you new underpants. And that's about it, really. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next episode of Game of Rugs. Bye now.